record, and we're live. So my name is Aylward, and this is the Stories, Lessons, Inspiration series. And I'm joined here today by Melissa Boher Jacobson, who is in California, I believe.
Well, I am in a sunny place, but it's actually Florida.
Ah, Florida. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
Excellent. And it's 3 o'clock here in Germany. It's 9 o'clock where you are, I believe.
It's 9 a.m., correct.
Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for connecting. Thank you for getting up and making this happen today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's so much fun to talk to you and get to know a little bit more about what you do as well.
Absolutely. Likewise. We've connected a little bit before.
Yeah.
And you are a confident communications coach. And when you reached out, I was very curious because I think communication is so important. I think it's something that great leaders and people who are successful, in the grand meaning of what success is, communication is one of those factors. And actually, a couple of days ago in a Facebook group, a business coach asked, what's one tip that you think people should hear about, being great in business? And I thought about it, and the first thing that came up was communications, being able to express your interpretation of things, who you are, and what you want. So, excellent. So my first question is, who do you work with, and how do you help them as a confidence communications coach?
Well, that's a great question. So I work with quite a wide variety of people. I like to specialize in working with people who are in business, entrepreneurs, online and otherwise. And I'm just going to turn this a little. That's better. I just feel like I was in the dark before.
Okay.
So I work with entrepreneurs and executives, but I also work with anybody. I work with people of all ages who feel uncomfortable or they're scared. A lot of people are very fearful about communicating in public. Some people have fears about getting up and speaking in public, even if it's speaking online in a forum like this, or say a webinar or a podcast or a live video. Or I think what's even more scary for most people is getting up and speaking in public. But unfortunately, pretty much everybody is going to have to do that. And if you want to be successful, you really have to own this skill of getting up. You might have to do a sales presentation. You might have to just do a presentation about a new program at your work, or if you're a teacher, we're always teaching or always presenting, pretty much in any kind of business, or whether you're in business, whether you're a coach, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a child. You and I, Will, we were just discussing before we started the interview how we both started in education and how even kids, I work with many kids as well. I work with adults, entrepreneurs, executives, and I do work with kids as well. And kids have to get up in front of their class and give a presentation, and they start terrified. And unfortunately, a lot of people grow up and stay terrified of this process. And it's crucial to get over that fear. And it is crucial to not only get over the fear, but to master the skills involved. Because whether you work for yourself as an entrepreneur or you work for a company, communication nowadays is how you sell your product.
Absolutely.
It's how, online communication is how you market and sell your products, how you gain trust in your services or in your product. And you need to use your money wisely. So a lot of people are wasting, they are communicating, but because of their fear or their lack of skill, they're not getting bang for their buck. They're wasting a lot of time and money because they're not doing this optimally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as people who are looking to get ahead, to be upwardly mobile in a corporate or a business setting, one of the most important soft skills that employers are looking for are communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
public speaking skills, presentation skills. And I also specialize in helping people interview confidently.
Wow.
And this is very, there's a lot of overlap between great presentation skills when you're, doing a presentation or a speech and doing a great interview. There's a lot of overlap there. And again, employers are just desperate for people who show them in an interview that they have these skills. They're not seeing it. So if you want to get a leg up on the competition, if you want to excel, if you want to get more business, if you want to sell more product, if you want to get more clients, if you want to be upwardly mobile in a corporate setting, if you want to get a job and you want to get promoted, you need to own these communication skills. This is part of your success story.
Absolutely. So many questions came up as you were there. Absolutely. I think this fear definitely comes up from being in school. Often this is the first time where we have to get up in front of our classmates and speak, and speaking and listening. I quite enjoyed it, but I had friends who that was the worst day ever, having to get up in front of the class and speak, even for a minute, 2 minutes, was terrifying. What do you think that fear is? What do you think that fear is?
Oh, that's such a great question. You and I were talking a little bit before we started the interview, and we were talking a little bit about my background. And I have a background not only as a coach, I have a long and complicated background, as we discussed, but one of the things that I've done a lot of work in, I've studied to be a school psychologist. And that was so fascinating for me, and it's helped me as a coach so much, because I've learned so much about the biology and the neurology behind our fears. So, and I think it's very, very comforting for people to understand that it is not them that causes it. It's not, oh, my personality, oh, I'm weak, I'm a failure, oh, I can't get it, I can't get it together. It's not that. It's the way we are designed. So our body is designed. We've been around for a while. We've evolved, but we have a very primitive part of our brain that has not really changed since we were, living in caves, even before that. And our main function in life is to survive. Is to survive. And so we have a built-in mechanism that helps us do that. And that built-in mechanism is what causes what many people will be familiar with this term. It's called the fight or flight syndrome. Does that sound familiar? So your body and your brain are designed to help you survive any kind of life-threatening event. Nowadays, we don't have the same. We think, we think that we're safe. We're really not that safe, but, we think we're much less vulnerable than we were when we had to live in caves and we had to, survive predators in the wild. But our body and our brain know better. And they know that we still need to protect ourselves. We need a system to do that. So that part of the brain has not changed at all. It comes from the hypothalamus. It's just a very primitive part of the brain. And that is the part of the brain that is in charge of the fight or flight syndrome. And that part of the brain is in charge of your adrenaline. So what happens when we have to get up in front of a group of people, our brain and our body perceive that as a life-threatening event.
And I get that. Thinking
right?
from maybe going back to the cavemen, to be in front of that many pairs of eyes would have been perceived as a threat.
Correct.
in terms of survival. So from what I've understood, it's almost like when we get up in front of people, when we see that there's still that part of our brain which is going, are we safe? Is this safe?
Correct. And for a lot of people who have a lot of anxiety about getting up in front of a group of people to speak, the one thing that they say is everybody, they feel so uncomfortable because everybody is staring at them. And it's terrifying to them. Oh, sorry, should have turned off that notification. Heard that? So yeah, this is a very ancient instinct. And when you understand, oh, it's not me. It's this ancient instinct that is part of being a human being. There's a comfort in knowing that. And then, of course, we have to find ways to get, techniques to get over that and to work around that or work with it.
Sure.
For you and not against you. But that's basically what causes that. It's a very ancient system, a very ancient instinct that is there to protect us and to help us.
Yeah, definitely.
So not only, some people say, I feel very uncomfortable when I have a lot of people staring at me. They can't really, they feel paralyzed by that. And some people, it's just the stakes. They have a lot of thoughts about what people are going to think of them, and they have fears. And they tend to have irrational fears around what people are going to think about them and what the consequences of that are going to be. So that's one of the things that I help people with. Not only do I help them with the nuts and bolts of speaking optimally, with all the kind of typical stuff that a public speaking coach would help you with, but also I deal with the mindset and the fear and the anxiety, and I provide people with techniques and exercises and mindset shifts, if you will, to help them get over that part. Because if you can't get over that part, that's going to stop you right in your tracks, isn't it?
Definitely. Wow. I can really see how the work you do is just valuable for so many people. I think I read that public speaking is one of the biggest or the biggest fear in the sort of Western world, and I can really see
why, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Why do we fear it? Because we are designed to fear it.
Yeah,
but we have to do it.
Yeah, exactly, and I can absolutely see how that would be huge for so many people, because it does affect different areas of their life. It's not just work. If you help somebody to communicate more confidently at work, that's also going to affect how they communicate at home.
Correct.
So I can really see how that's valuable for your clients. I'd love to know what coaching does for you. What does it do for you?
Well, I'm sure you can relate to this, that it does so much for me, because every time I work with somebody, they teach me, right? They teach me more about myself. They teach me more about how I can help other people. When I help somebody correct something that's bothering them, or I help them, it's always a creative process. I'm always in the moment, and I'm constantly problem solving with my clients. And once I've solved their problem, well, their problem is somebody else's problem too. So they're constantly teaching me ways that I can help other people and help myself. I just learn. I learn from every single person that I work with.
Sure.
And I work with a lot of people. So I get to do a lot of, it's really valuable for me.
Absolutely. And you say you work with children as well as adults. I think children are sometimes the best.
Yeah.
We miss so many things from our sort of adult perspective. Just spending an hour, with someone younger, you can really bring you these different sort of insights.
Yeah, and I think that I actually have to credit, I've done so much work. In fact, I just got off about a 6-month, really, really intense 6 months. I'm actually like kind of chilling right now and reorganizing things. I don't have a lot of I have too many clients at the moment, but I have about I was working with a ton of kids over the last 6 months, getting them ready to audition for this very important program in my community. We have magnet schools here that have a program called the Dreyfus School of the Arts and the Bach Middle School of the Arts, and they have a communication department, but the kids have to audition for it. And they have to, not only do they have to do a prepared speech, they have to do an interview.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They have to do a PowerPoint. They have to create a magazine ad or a movie poster, depending on the level that they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to write. So I've been coaching kids for the last 6 months, a lot of kids, because this is the time of year where they need that kind of help. And I've been coaching these kids very intensely through groups and also private. And, people, adults, really need to understand that we learn a lot working with kids. There's a lot of very valuable lessons. And, as we grow up and we age, we tend to think that we're smarter or we're superior to kids. Mm-hmm. And not that we're not in some ways, but we forget a lot of the really important lessons that we learned as children. Mm. And it's these kids have really reminded me of a lot of the skills and the knowledge that I may have forgotten. And a lot of my corporate clients, some of the kind of nuts and bolts stuff that I teach my kids, they've forgotten it, and they need a refresher mm-hmm. in order to be effective. Because there's so much more information that is in your brain, as you age and as you're an adult in a corporate environment, and you have all this knowledge, but some of the basics kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I feel that as well. The biggest thing for me is just being present, looking at children, they play. Their full day is just about play and exploration, but they're so present. They're just worrying about what they're doing now. They're not regretting the fact that they, didn't do this thing in the morning. They're not worrying about, tomorrow maybe I won't be, able to play in the sandcastle. It's just biggest thing for me that children teach us is this presence, just being really in the moment, really, and they're confident because of it, because they're not in anyone else's heads. They're not dwelling or looking to the future too much.
Yes, and that is really true, and that's something that we can really learn from children. We can be in the moment, and we need to be in the moment, and that has a lot to do with where we get stuck, and it's also a neurological problem that we have, because when we are not in the moment, being in the moment is like the creative side of our brain, and that's where, when we need to be creative, we need to be in the moment. Because if we're worrying, or we're thinking about something else, or we're judging, we're in our left brain, which is our analytical brain. And we can't create or solve problems when we're in that side. We can analyze problems. But problem solving happens on the creative side of the brain. And so there's a lot of getting stuck in that left brain thinking. People get stuck. And this is another thing that I talk a lot about in my coaching is creativity. Again, in order to be a good communicator, to be a good presenter, to be a good interviewer, you have to be creative. You have to be able to deal with stuff in the moment as it's coming at you. You got to be able to come up with stuff. Isn't that looks weird when I do that on Zoom?
That's good. I like it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, creativity's a big one, and we're all creative. I hear people say, I'm not creative. I'm not a creative person.
Oh,
so yeah. We all are. We can all access this. We are creativity in the same way we're so many things. But yeah.
It is so important to access that creativity. Even if you're an accountant, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to access that creativity if you want to be more successful.
Definitely. Wow. So I know, having spoken briefly with you before the call, because this is the first time we've connected.
Yes.
That your
so cool.
It is. Your background is music, theatre, and psychology. And I know that I now know, but for the people who are watching, how did you transition into music, theatre, and psychology into what you're doing today?
Well, I'm really old, so I've done a lot of things. Well, I started out as a performer
Mm.
And I'm actually from the Pacific Northwest. So I don't know who's consuming this content, but if you're from the Seattle area, that's where I started out. And then I went to school. I was offered a scholarship and went to school in Philadelphia. I became a performer. I was an opera singer, actually.
Oh, wow.
And from there, I became a producer. I started producing theater and eventually working with some pretty recognizable people, some of whom have recently passed away, unfortunately. That's what the old part, I guess, now. So some people, some great experiences with Ann Mira producing a play that she wrote, and Eli Wallach and Ann Jackson, who starred in this play, and working with Renee Taylor and Joe Bologna and Donna McKechnie, and a lot of great, really legendary film and theater people. But throughout all of this, I was also coaching. I've always been coaching. My mother was a teacher. I'm kind of a born teacher. It's, I think it's a gift that some people have. So it's just evolved over the years, having produced theater and then starting to coach people as a vocal coach, in which I still do. By the way, I'm still a vocal coach, and I do online vocal coaching and in person. And then starting to not only, it gets a little boring just teaching vocal technique. And so, I always like to help people where their needs are. So I started coaching people on auditioning. And then started getting a lot of clients who needed audition preparation. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, getting very, very busy here in my local area because there's a huge need for that kind of help for the schools that we have here. And then starting to coach people in this special program that we have here, this communication program, starting to teach them how to do public speaking, creative writing, presentations, marketing, all of these things. I started to coach a lot of kids. Those kids have parents who are in corporate settings. They started to hire me to coach them. And, on a private basis, also on a corporate basis. So the psychology part, at one point back about 5 years ago, I was starting to try to make a career change. I really struggled. And that has been helpful for me too, because my struggle to change careers was epic. I mean, I looked at everything. And I finally settled on school psychology. So I actually entered a master's degree program in school psychology, which was incredibly enlightening. It taught me so much about developmental stages that people go through. And also a lot of the most fascinating part for me that I studied was the neurology and also cultural differences and how that affects people's communication. So this gave me a lot of expertise. And so putting all of these experiences together, having been a performer, having improvisational, training, acting training, obviously I am a professional performer. I still do some performing. That expertise, the producing, auditioning, helping people audition successfully, having been a theater producer and knowing what I've seen and what, public service, what works and what doesn't when I'm watching auditions. So many people don't know how to do auditions. It's all the same thing. People don't know how to audition because they have fear and anxiety about this very high stakes process. People that struggle to do interviews, it's the same thing. It's basically the same problem that they have with auditions. Different skill set, but same basis for the problem. Public speaking and presenting, very related to performing.
Definitely.
And a lot of the issues that people have come from basically the same origin, if you will. So this is how I sort of taking all of these experiences and all these skills. There's a lot of overlap between all the aspects of performing and auditioning, a lot of overlap between that and interviewing and presenting, public speaking. And then, of course, being an entrepreneur, I think has also helped me a lot too, because as an entrepreneur working for yourself, I also did a lot of social media and marketing for the theater companies that I ran. So that has taught me about visibility and messaging and communication in that regard. And this whole online marketing learning curve, which I've been in that learning curve for the last, I'd say, 2.5 years. It's also related to this presentation and communication coaching that I do. I also help people, this is all part of it. It's very complex nowadays. Not only do we have to get up and speak in front of people, we have to do it online, and we have to market it, and we have to repurpose all of this performing and this presenting. We want to repurpose it and use it for our sales and our marketing.
Sure.
So it's just a whole heck of a lot of stuff. Did I answer the question? I don't know.
You did really well. And it sounds to me as almost like a very natural progression. So
yeah,
especially working with children and then parents in corporate going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can see how this can help me. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a creative person. I'm not, that's one of the mindset things that I'm always having to work on. I'm not a business person. I'm a creative person. But the creativity and the coaching and the insight that I have to offer is really, really helpful, works really well with people who are in a corporate setting or in a business setting.
Yeah, great. And that brings me really nicely to my next question. I've got a friend who is very openly, he hates public speaking. He has to do it as part of his job. So he works in construction, but quite often he has to get up in front of people.
Sure.
And
making bids.
Exactly. Yeah. So making bids, but also getting in front of a team and being someone who's very visible and has got all these pairs of eyes looking at him. And he says it's the worst thing ever. When he knows he's got to do this, it fills him with fear. Like you said, this real fear, this real anxiety about it. What tip would you give to someone who feels this fear before a presentation, before public speaking, something that they can do to maybe, change their mindset or just get them in a better state?
Well, I definitely like to talk to your friend. I could definitely help him. But I think the first thing is to, believe it or not, is to notice, to do like a little bit of a body scan and notice what's going on. What are the physical manifestations of this anxiety? Notice it, accept it, and not resist it. And then understand that the sensations that he's feeling, those are the brain and the body's way of communicating. Your body and your brain are communicating also. So your brain is sending a little cocktail of hormones into your bloodstream. I call it the superhero cocktail.
Wow, okay, I like that.
Yeah, because what's happening is when you're faced with a survival event, your brain and your body work together to make you temporarily into a superhero. And the way that we become superheroes is through adrenaline. Adrenaline it's actually a combination of several different chemicals or hormones, but it makes us faster, smarter, and stronger temporarily. And there's a whole set of physiological things that happen when you have adrenaline in your body. But when the brain sends that signal to the adrenal gland shoots out all of this adrenaline into your bloodstream, and it goes all over your body. And your body needs a way to let the brain know that it received the adrenaline, right? It's a form of communication. So all those physical sensations that your friend is feeling, sensations that he's feeling, that he's body scanned, what he needs to understand is that those physical manifestations are the body's way of signaling back to the brain that it has received the adrenaline.
Wow.
What happens is we feel the sensations and they're uncomfortable, right? Where our knees are shaking and our palms are sweating and our mouth goes dry. We feel like we're going to throw up. And it's like all these really weird, uncomfortable sensations. And of course, what do you do when you feel uncomfortable? You try to stop the uncomfortable sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. But the problem is when you try to stop those sensations, the signal doesn't get back to the brain. And the brain goes, oh, I thought I sent Will that adrenaline. I guess he didn't get it. Let me send more.
Wow. Okay.
So then you get too much adrenaline. And adrenaline is there to help you. It's there to help your friend remember what he needs to say to people. It's there to help him feel strong and energetic when he's presenting. But because he kind of is probably, excuse me, he's probably getting stuck on the uncomfortable sensations that he's feeling. And that's what he hates.
Wow. And that's so...
Hating the sensations. It's not the speaking. It's probably the sensations, the side effects of adrenaline that are getting him stuck. So what he needs to do is notice them and accept them. And then say, oh, I'm noticing I have side effects of adrenaline. That's great. Because I know that adrenaline is going to help me have a better presentation today. So I'm just going to accept it.
Wow.
I might not like it, but I'm going to accept it and I'm going to let it work for me.
Definitely. I can really, that's huge. That's really valuable. I'm already thinking how I can apply that with, times I have to show up because I still get nervous, as we all do.
Yes. And by the way, you need to get nervous.
Yeah.
Now, I must say that a lot of public speaking coaches give you relaxation techniques, right? I don't do that. You know why? Because it's counterproductive. Yeah. You don't need to relax. You need to channel your adrenaline in the right way. Wow, relaxing is just another way of resisting the adrenaline, and you're just going to keep getting more and more and more. It's just like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, okay. I'm a really metaphorical. Like when people explain ideas to me, I really very visual. And it's almost like what you're saying with not resisting. It's almost like swimming against the tide. So, we're trying to swim and the brain's sent this adrenaline and it's swimming against the tide. And if only we just sort of go with the flow, accept it, go with it, that's fine. Eventually we sort of go off and it comes to an end.
Perfect analogy right there.
Yeah, but it's more and more water's coming down when we're like, no, it's fine, it's fine. Yeah, wow, I can really, yeah.
I love that. I'm writing it down. See?
Yeah.
Swimming, you're absolutely right. It's like, and we do that in life so much.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Byron Katie, loving what is, acceptance, not resisting. So absolutely what you're saying is really resonating and just feeling how you feel as well and just accepting it instead of, always looking to change how we feel and judging it for being bad. That can make it a lot worse as well, I think.
It's exactly why. And, my training as an actor, I think is it's exactly what you said. I'm trained as an actor to be in the moment. This is language that actors use in acting training, to be in the moment as a character, but also in life. This is, when I used to teach drama, I used to be like, life is theater, theater is life. And it's really true. We have to be in the moment in life too. And not out of a like candles and crystal-y kind of a way, because I'm not into that really. As you can see, I like to be a little bit more scientific. But it is a neurological thing, because when we're in the moment, we are in our creative side of our brain, which is where our ideas come from, that side.
Sure.
We're at our best when we stay really right brain a lot. Now, not to say there's nothing, the left brain is amazing. The left brain is where we analyze problems. We do problem solving in the left brain. We analyze and we figure things out. But we have to know what side of the brain is optimal for the kind of processing that we need to do. And being in the moment is really important, because when we're living in a judgy kind of framework, we're in the habit of being judgmental a lot. That's very left brain. And it's perfect for when we're analyzing things. But when we need to do things, we can't be in that left side of the brain, or it's not gonna go well.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it serves us sometimes to be left brain, but absolutely there's times we need to realize, okay, maybe I need to go from analyzing to doing, to creating action.
Yeah. And you have to be doing when you're presenting. Because if you're sitting there judging yourself, you're not there for your audience.
Yeah, definitely. And even with coaching as well, when I first started coaching, I was always thinking about, what are they thinking? How are they finding the session? And you lose your power. You lose your power when you're trying to mind read and you're asking, how's it all going? Was that the right question to ask? We're not in the moment. So it's, just to take a step back and I love the body scan as well. I think that's a great way of, being in that moment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. So these interviews, they're all around stories, lessons, and inspiration. So one of the questions I ask, which is really ties into lessons, is what's the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome? Because I think we all struggle, we all have challenges, and I think exactly what you said earlier on, we can all learn something from someone. And I think there's so many lessons to be learned from hearing about other people's challenges. So what's the biggest challenge for you?
I think my biggest challenge is probably, and again, I think we all as coaches, we coach people in solving problems that we've solved for ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
Right? I've definitely had some major challenges. I struggled with mindset, I would say. That was one of my biggest struggles. I mean, I'll be very transparent. I joke and I say, I'm old and all this kind of stuff, but I mean, I'm really not that old, but I am 54, and I have to say that I think until I was well into my late 40s, maybe even early 50s, I did not own my expertise. I struggled with my self-perception for a really, really long time. I did not feel competent, even though I obviously, if I'd looked at it, I've achieved so much. And I think a lot of people feel that way. It doesn't matter how successful you are. And I think women in particular, and maybe even of my generation, we struggle with that, owning our expertise, owning that we're great at what we do. That's definitely been a huge struggle for me. I think that, and then the learning curve, the technology, the learning curve around technology, that I feel great about. And I'm a big believer, I teach confidence. That's why I said, when I started adding this set of coaching, this kind of coaching to what I do, I said, the through line through all of my coaching, no matter what I coach in, it's always about confidence. And all of my clients are always saying, when they review me, they're always like, she made me so confident. I've never been so confident. And I think that's because I struggled with that. So I finally kind of, I nailed it. I figured it out.
Yeah.
And what I think the most important thing, that the way that we become confident, there's a couple of different ways, and that is that we need scaffolding, we need systems. The thing that I found challenging in life was that I felt overwhelmed. I was, feeling overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start, so I would just procrastinate. And I know a lot of people feel that way, because you need coaching that has scaffolding in it. So you feel like there's a lot of comfort in knowing what steps to take and somebody giving you those steps. You cease to feel overwhelmed and you start to take action once you have the right steps. So that's something that really helps people become more confident when they know what they need to do and all they have to do is do it. But the other thing that makes people feel confident, truly confident, is doing things that they don't think they're capable of doing and doing it anyway, and then finding out that they can do it.
Yeah.
And that gives them a sense of power and confidence.
Sure.
There's lots of examples in my life of things like that.
Sure. It's almost changing the story we have about ourselves.
Correct.
Because we see ourselves as, I'm not a confident person, I always do this. But that's just based on the past. And I've really realized recently that, we're only who we are in this moment. The past is just a story, and the future's not even here yet. So our strength only lies right here. So all these stories we have about ourselves is, I'm not this sort of person. It's like, we'll create that right now. Be that sort of person. You can, act inspired. You can act productive in the moment. The stories we have about ourselves, just stories, just that.
Yeah, and people think, I'm afraid of public speaking. I can't do that. I'm only good at these things. And that, you're right, that's a limiting, literally a limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really worth it to try to, when you have a limiting belief like that, that's the perfect time to challenge it. And that's the perfect thing to challenge in your life. You have a limiting belief, I can't do this, I can't do this, those are the things that you should definitely try.
Yeah, let's see, let's find out. Let's get some evidence to show that I can't do it.
Yeah, that will change your life. Even if you don't succeed at it, it doesn't matter. You probably will. I mean, I have so many examples of that in my own life, but even if you don't succeed at it, you're going to learn something huge in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And with something like public speaking and communication skills and presenting skills, you have to try it. You can't avoid this. You need it. You need it to be successful in your career, in your life, in your business, in your relationships.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your challenges. And I really get that, the mind will sort of tell us, who am I to step up? Who am I to position myself as an expert? Who am I to create this? And again, that's just a story because, clearly you've had great success. Clearly you're helping people. All the evidence is there. And actually it's just about looking back and saying, well, actually I'm pretty amazing. Actually, this story, the mind saying, trying to keep me small. But again, it's a protection thing as well, isn't it? It's protecting us from this threat of stepping out, or maybe I'll fail, or maybe people won't agree, or maybe I'm not going to make it, But it's just realizing that actually already we've done so much, and actually we're great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's very important, and it's actually something that I do with a lot of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
What have you done? Like, you write out everything that you've done this year, everything you've accomplished, and it's amazing to do that exercise. Really look at the evidence of who you are and what you're capable of.
Yeah, we miss so much. We're always looking towards the next thing, but actually to look back and think, I've come this far is, great exercise.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is, who or what inspires you?
Well, I am inspired by, well, first of all, I have to say I'm inspired by one of my biggest inspirations, I would say, is my father. And I'm going to tell you, he's 93, he's 92.
Wow.
We're all old, what can I tell you? He's 92. He was he is the most positive thinking person. He's cheated death so many times, and he actually had a massive heart attack when he was around my age and should have died, but he didn't, and now he's 92. And
Wow.
the reason, but that's not why he's inspiring to me. The reason he's inspiring to me is because he approaches everything from a positive point of view, and he talks about positivity all the time. Everything, he's always positive. I mean, he lost his leg 2 years ago, and at the age of 90, got a prosthesis and started walking again.
Wow.
So this is, I know. And only because, I mean, who does that? Nobody, who does that? You know, you lose your leg, you give up, you die, you know. Nope. Because he's positive. He now lives in a nursing home. He was a very successful commercial real estate broker. Came up from nothing, you know. He's from England, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's from Liverpool.
I like him even more.
Yeah. And I mean, he lives in a nursing home now, which was a big trauma. You know, his health had deteriorated to the point where legally he could not stay where he was. And so my mother and he had to separate. We're forced to separate. And here he is living in a nursing home, which is happens to be a very nice one. But he's like, oh, I love it here. The people are so nice. People are so great here. I mean, he just turns everything positive. And what happens as a result of that is that people turn positive around him. He just transforms everybody around him. The CEO of the nursing home comes to visit him when he's feeling down. He has kids that come to volunteer. You know, they came to volunteer, you know, one day, and now they come back every week to visit him. He has people that come to sing for him every week because they love him. Because he has such positive energy, they just want to be around it.
Sure.
So he is, I think, he's my biggest inspiration.
Wow.
You know, and then I'm just inspired by people who take risks and step up and do it anyway. You know, there's a lot of people in the online space that I'm inspired by. They're not necessarily big names, but they're people with a lot of integrity who really know what they're doing, and they really over deliver. And one of those people is my coach. Her name is Camilla Gornia.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard of her.
I think I have.
Awesome. She's very inspiring to me. She's 27 years old, and she's my mentor.
Wow.
Yeah. She has a lot of integrity. She's, you know, she really knows her stuff. She's very generous with her training. She over delivers, and that's people like that really inspire me.
People with integrity, taking risks.
Yeah. People who are really, really real.
Wow. And
like you, Will, I can tell that about you too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And your father is what I call he sends ripples. So my first coach, she used this metaphor and I pinched it. She'll be fine with it. But it's, you know, there's some people in life who just send ripples out. You know, sometimes it's positivity, sometimes it's love, generosity, kindness, whatever it is. But it's a bit like when you throw a stone into a pond, these ripples go out and you never know where they're going to end up, because obviously they get smaller and smaller, but it gets passed on. So when you were describing your father, you know, it comes back. He, radiates this positivity and love, and that's what he gets back.
Yes. And it's a legacy.
Definitely. Well, I'd like to end with a couple of fun questions. I could speak to you for hours, and I know we're going to.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking with you afterwards as well. So just a couple of light-hearted questions to end.
Sure.
The first one is, if you were an animal, what would you be? So let's say for 24 hours you could live life as any animal we have on this fantastic planet. What would you be and why?
Oh, great question. I think the first thing that comes up for me is a dog.
Okay.
Because they're so close to humans and they're so full of love and they get lots of attention, and they get, stroked and they have a good life. I think that's the first thing that comes up for me. So I'm going to go with that.
Definitely. Okay.
I love dogs.
Okay. Yeah. You're the first person to say dog. A few people have said cat, and I'm a dog person, not a cat person. A dog. Okay. Interesting. And final question is, let's say that you can go on vacation anywhere in the world. I'm going to pay for it. You can jet off this afternoon. Where would you go? Anywhere's possible.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've traveled quite a lot, but I've been to Japan, and I've been to, I've been to Japan. I'd say I would love to go back to Asia. I'd like to go to anywhere in Asia. I'd love to go to Bali or Indonesia or Malaysia or Guam. I have friends there, and it's so beautiful. I think, I'd love to go to any of those places in Asia because I've never been there, and I loved visiting Japan. And or even Vietnam. I'm so fascinated by all the cuisines and just the culture, and I've met so many people from these cultures, and they're always they're so wonderful. I tend to want to go to places where I've met people from the culture. I want to experience more of what I'm a little bit familiar.
So that's nice, though. That's nice if you meet someone from a place and they're very charming and very nice. Yeah, you want to see where they're from.
Yes, definitely.
Asia, yeah, definitely. Yeah, Japan. I've got a friend who's teaching English in Japan. I'm very jealous. I'd love to.
Yeah, they're just I spent about 6 weeks there many years ago. It was such a great experience.
Wow. Well, Melissa, thank you so much. I really loved connecting with you, and like I said, I could continue talking with you, getting to know you, and there's so much value. I know so many people who are going to watch this. And absolutely, I'll be putting your details so people can get in touch to thank you for your time today, but also to get in touch if they've listened and thought, wow, okay, this woman can definitely help me.
Thank you so much. It's been so great to talk to you, and I'm just really looking forward to getting to know more about your coaching as well. Super intrigued to hear more about what you're doing. Sounds like you're just exactly the kind of coach that I like to talk to and recommend as well. So,
yeah. Thank you. Well, for now, take care, and we'll speak very soon.
Sounds great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.